So one thing that's been kind of a success, but I haven't used it a massive amount, is the Sunshade. And as you might have seen on a previous video, I did actually really get some good practice in with my stitching. I did a, whatever that, like a really good tent style stitch to join two pieces of basically scrap nylon together. And I put a wooden bar this side because it won't stay out at the back of the boat, whereas we've got the shrouds at the front of the boat for this to sort of keep spread out on. Now, as an experiment, this has been really good, successful. I've used it a few times now, once to keep the sun off me, or a couple of times actually on the lake, but I've actually used it to also keep the rain off me. Now, that's where we come into a bit of difficulty here. The first thing is, this isn't waterproof, this nylon, or so I found out at least anyway. It does eventually, it's kind of shower proof. The second thing is it's way too thin. We need it to be much wider, otherwise it doesn't really give me much protection. So we can keep this, but if you look at this is the nylon I've ordered to make the tent. And I have ordered quite a bit more, although I bought this as an offcut. So, I say an offcut, it was like end of line. I don't know what it was, but I got it, it was in the sale, I got it cheap. But you can see, look at the width of that. It is almost double. And actually it needs to be about 5 feet wide. Now, this nylon is treated on one side. This you can see just isn't treated at all, but this nylon is PU treated one side. It also has a PVC, a silicone treatment to the outer side of it, which makes it, not only does that make it really, it doesn't fray, this doesn't when you cut it, but it also, the droplets roll off the outside, whereas the inside is keeping you dry anyway due to the PU coating. So I figure we should make a sunshade out of this. Now, the other thing we're going to do, instead of using a piece of wood, because I did notice when there was a bit of a gust, the wood, it flexed a bit. And also I've got to treat that wood if I was going to use it long term. And no doubt over the winter or over leaving the boat for a month, it's going to get saturated and eventually rot. So the first thought was to use some of the aluminium pole, but it's quite expensive for that purpose. It's also a bit thick, I think. But actually, I've got an old tent, and whenever I throw an old tent away, I always keep, I keep everything, I'm terrible. If you can use it, I'll keep it. But actually, I've got these aluminium poles that are still left. So I've got enough here that if I kind of open them up, chop the elastic out a little bit, and get rid of these little kinky sort of bends to them and have some straight pole, I should have enough here to make 2 poles each side. It should then also allow me to collapse these, because these poles actually collapse really small, so I can collapse it all up, and that will make the whole sunshade extremely small to stow on the boat, and also light because these are really thin. However, obviously tent poles are extremely tough as well, so I'm hoping these we can sleeve into the ends of the shade, and we'll be able to then use these both ends of the shade to keep it stuck out, so it should give us substantially more cover, whether it be rain or sun. So the first job I'm going to do is snip this elastic. So it's going to be that. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to need 5 sections. Now, what we now need to do is try and get this elastic to feed through here. Oop. So if we pull enough out and leave this bit a bit dangly, we should be able to get that to feed through there, like that. And then what we're going to have to do this end is I don't know how we're going to do that. We could actually make 3D print a little stopper for this end anyway. But for now, I'm thinking, let's see, will a knot do the job if we do it big enough? Let's see. Oh, that does a good job of it. Now you can see this is now going to be held together when we put it together, but we'll be able to, just like the tent pole it is, we'll be able to snap that closed when we don't need it. So I need to make the other one out of the other poles, or the remaining poles I've got here, and then we'll turn our attention to the fabric. I didn't realise these came out. So these little stopper ends come out, and you can see the fabric, the elastic is elasticated on that end. So actually what we can do now is, instead of this knot, we'll do what we've done here, just tied a very loose knot around there with a loop, and we'll then have both of these stoppered both sides. So I'm going to do that now. We've got, if we break both ends of this up now, we've got the two stopper pieces each end. And this is bang on the right height. You can just see there. It's a little bit high, but what we're going to do is push it all the way through and maybe try and find some webbing where these will kind of make little pockets that they'll stick into. And from that webbing we'll also then have the little places that the string will attach to. So let's make another one of these and move on to nylon. Right, we've got two the same-ish. They're literally a millimetre or two out. They're all different size pole width lengths, these that came in these, so I had to try and find the best fit I could, but they're okay, they're going to work, and they stay together quite well, so nice and tight. So you can see that one is a slightly different length at the end there, just to get them married up. So these will now collapse nice and easy. I put that little colour-coded one in just so I know which one's the tickle longer one. But that packs up really nicely, doesn't it? Really, really small. Let's turn our attention to the fabric. Oh, it's so hard to measure in here. That's better. I've got no room and it's pouring the rain outside, and I've got so much stuff in here at the moment. Loads going on. But I've nicked... Where have I made a nick? There we go, I've nicked that there. I'm going to try and get that straight. And then very carefully, we're just going to cut along the ripstop, which you should be able to see. There we go, so we're going to go along there. That's a really good cut, bang on all the way. So we can tidy that up now, put that away, won't be needing that. Little loops at the top, look, with little brass eyelets, and the tent pole goes in there, very much like a normal tent. And this is one of the widths. There's a pole to hold a loop to hold the pole in there. And then it's the same the other side, and then obviously I've hemmed it all the way round. This has got a bit of reinforcement with the webbing here, because it's where it will get stretched. Now it's exactly the same the other side. Now one thing that's occurred to me is that this could be a bit more utilitarian. We could end up making this into a bit more of a tent. So it could either be a sunshade, which is nice and wide, but then the gaps on the boat will be a little bit, higher. So it's like a proper sunshade square thing. But if it's raining, what we could do is actually take the poles out, and then these would put a line in, and actually these will form more of a tent apex. But in which case we kind of need them to come down here as well, maybe. But I think we'll give this all a go. Off my old tent, I've got these, the old guy lines, and these are just going to tie around these loops. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to make bow lines in them here, So we can just whip those over the cleats very quickly and then adjust them with the little adjuster blocks there, that, you know, classic tent adjuster blocks. So yeah, really excited. Been really busy today, haven't I, actually? I've been busy doing all this today, actually. It's been great, really good fun. So yeah, so that is the new shade stroke shelter done.